Can you please tell us about the discovery here on the nation's land?
Yes, I will share with you the discovery here within Tk'emlúps. First of all, we knew that there was a lot of history and behind, the residential school here, our Kamloops Indian Residential School, directly on Tk'emlúps. We know that through a lot of the stories from our ancestors and, that have attended the residential school, that there's a lot of unanswered questions. Unanswered questions of their friends, their siblings, their consultants, and the various friendships that they've made there when they were forced to attend. So we knew that there was, where did these missing children go? That's always been a question that we've been, striving to find those answers to. We know that there was a lot of work done back in the early 70s and 80s with some initial groundwork. We also know that there was more that was done in 2000. I could also share that, even back then there was not enough technology to be able to further enhance any of the potential of the, missing children. We do know that with our Language and Culture Revitalization Department, they did access some funding to, seek companies that had that technology today to do some further analysis. On the Monday after the long weekend, we were brought together. We were shared the unthinkable, the horrific initial findings of what they potentially could be. They're very preliminary, but we were very much taken off guard. We were very much taken back from what that potentially could mean. And, I know that we're still waiting for a report, but it was shared with us that with the findings that they could very well be children beneath the surface.
How far down, can you share with me, how far down are they that it took so much technology to find?
We're not going to get into the details of the
okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say that personally I am not privy to any of those depths or that information or that technical aspect.
Sure, of course. So we do know that there's 215, and I've heard now as young as age 3.
Yes. So what was shared with us from the company was that there was 215 sites, potential sites that could very well be children and as young as 3 years old. Each one has been marked, and I just also want to duly note that as part of this process, before anything that was ever started, number one is ceremony. We are disturbing the earth. We're disturbing ancestors, children, and whatever other findings there may be. So ceremony was first and foremost, because that is their final resting place, potential final resting place. And for us, it was about making sure that those protocols were there to protect the children, protect the individuals who were doing the work, and of course, that connection with Mother Earth.
Personally, how did you feel when you heard the fact that the stories are true and here's the proof?
Well, so far we're still waiting to find out the truth of the stories. We're still waiting for the report. This is the initial findings that were shared with us. And so from that, it was devastating. I took my place from, being a mother, a grandmother, and knowing that, what if this was my child? What if this was my child? And looking at my, my siblings, what if that was their children, their child, that was, missing and undocumented, unanswered, not even respected for, closure and ceremony to, help them to the next world in that journey. They never had that. And I couldn't even imagine that as a parent. So my heart was like completely broken.
I'm so sorry. It's here. It took my breath away when I drove up, because here it is. It's such a looming presence behind us here. What's being used in that building now? Is there anything going on in there that the community uses it for?
So that is our Kamloops Indian Residential School. It is, one of the largest throughout Canada, and we still have it still standing because for us, that is our history. We are not going to wipe away that history. We're not going to forget that history because for us, most important is knowing who we are, where we came from, and why we are so resilient. And it's knowing that deep, painful history and knowing who we are today and what our ancestors had to go through to be able to, share those stories with the next generations, to be able to have a picture of what that could look like and what that was like for them. And number one thing is, we do not want that for our children ever again, but we don't want to forget.
Absolutely. Is it some of your family that actually attended this school as well?
My mother attended, and my grandmother attended. The majority of our community has attended. Many surrounding brother and sister communities throughout Metgulu have attended. We've had students as far away as the Yukon, some in Alberta, and also in the States. And this year, past week, since we've, learned this information, our number one priority was to share that with our membership, which we did. And they're still absorbing and still grappling with that painful possibility. And I know that we're having a community meeting this coming up week to be able to debrief and share what we know, and knowing that this year has taken a whole new life of its own, through media, social media. And for us, it was a matter of making sure that, our members knew we are the responsible caretakers here. These children is our responsibility to continue nurturing and protecting. And for us, it's about making sure that they are given that respect and honor, and that we fulfill that for them. And so for us, it's also, making sure that we also work with the other Kukpis of the other communities, and the other chiefs, and to have them involved with this. We know that there's still a lot of work to do. We still have yet to get the report. So we've been working with them. We have met with the coroner, and we have met with the police. So there's still a lot more work that needs to get done. This is just our initial verbal information that was shared with us.
The word genocide keeps coming up that was done towards our people. This has sent shockwaves all over the world. People are astonished that this happened, and now in the year 2021, we're now uncovering the truth behind the residential schools. Many countries actually didn't even know about that. Do you think Canada has hidden this dark secret for a long, long time, and do you think it's finally coming to light now?
Well, we do know that this year is something that has been a dark part of our history. We do know that, right across Canada, all residential schools have been going through and reignited from this year find, from the traumas that they've experienced, and truly going through that re-devastation. And, I know that, nationwide, resources have been opened up because of all the triggers that have taken place and re-sparked. Just an example of that is knowing that many people are coming here, and, there is a monument that is over there. There's also a point of interest site as well, acknowledging that painful history. So it's something that we do not want to ever forget. And, that's why the monument and, people have been respecting that, wanting to come and revisit it and honor the children that have been, been found.
Are there plans to search more of this area?
There will have to be more. There will have to be more searches. This is just one section that we had had work done on. So there's definitely a lot more work that needs to get done.
Do you have a number of how many kids went missing from this school?
Right now, that there is some work that is being worked on with the museum and the archives to have any of those types of determinations.
And finally, the Catholic Church has come out and said, you know, we're very sorry about what's happened. If there's anything, what can we do to fix the situation? That statement is pretty basic. Is there anything further you'd like to see from the government and the Catholic Church to rectify what's happened here?
Well, what we want to see is, first of all, you know, the children that are here under our caretake within our grounds. We want them to be respected. We want them to be honored. And we want to find answers for their families. So there is still a lot of work to be done. So we are going to be, you know, reaching out with many asks from the federal government, because this is just the beginning. And with the Catholic Church, you know, we did have several different denominations reach out to us, including the bishops. So, you know, there is still a lot of triggers, you know, with that. But, you know, at the same token, we still want to make sure that our number one priority are those children and the families of those children.
Last question. Many survivors have come forward with so many horrific stories. Nobody believed them, but now the truth is finally out there. What would you like to say to those survivors that have been affected so deeply by this trauma?
So right now, with all the survivors who've been affected by this trauma, just knowing that we want nothing but respect and honor. We want to see the end of discrimination. We want to see the end to racism. You know, we still see it in schools through the history books. We want to see that our children never have to face these types of, you know, discriminatory, racist kind of effects and impacts from residential school ever again in the future.